Srimad Bhagavatam session. Let us begin with prayers. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Creation, Chapter 5, entitled Narada's Instructions on Srimad Bhagavatam for Vyasadeva, Text 17. त्यक्त्वा स्वधर्मं चरणाम्बुजं हरेर् भजन्न पक्वोत पतेत्ततो यदि यत्र क्व वा भद्रमभूदमुष्य किम् को वार्थ आप्तो अभजतां स्वधर्मतः. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Vishwa Guru Abhay Charanarvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. Srila Narad Muni said, one who has forsaken his material occupations to engage in the devotional service of the Lord may sometimes fall down while in an immature stage, yet there is no danger of his being unsuccessful. On the other hand, a non-devotee, though fully engaged in occupational duties, does not gain anything. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. As far as the duties of mankind are concerned, there are innumerable duties. Every man is duty bound, not only to his parents, family members, society, country, humanity, other living beings, the demigods, etc., but also to the great philosophers, poets, scientists, etc. It is enjoined in the scriptures that one can relinquish all such duties and surrender unto the service of the Lord. So, if one does so and becomes successful in the discharge of his devotional service unto the Lord, it is well and good. But it so happens sometimes that one surrenders himself unto the service of the Lord by some temporary sentiment, and in the long run, due to so many other reasons, he falls down from the path of service by undesirable association. There are so many instances of this in the histories. Bharat Maharaj was obliged to take his birth as a stag due to his intimate attachment to a stag. He thought of this stag when he died. As such, in the next birth, he became a stag, although he did not forget the incident of his previous birth. Similarly, Chitraketu also fell down due to his offenses at the feet of Lord Shiva. But in spite of all this, the stress is given here to surrendering unto the lotus feet of the Lord, even if there is a chance of falling down, because though one falls down from the prescribed duties of devotional service, he will never forget the lotus feet of the Lord. Once engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, one will continue the service in all circumstances. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that even a small quantity of devotional service can save one from the most dangerous position. There are many instances of such examples in history. Ajamila is one of them. Ajamila in his early life was a devotee, but in his youth he fell down. Still he was saved by the Lord at the end. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. A very important verse, one of the foundational verses one of the foundational principles of Krishna consciousness, Narad Muni is talking about in this particular verse. Tyaktva swadharmam charanambujam harehe. Tyaktva, having forsaken, given up. Swadharmam, one's own occupational engagement. According to the scriptures, based on one's position in the Varnashrama system, every living entity, every human being is expected to perform certain duties, prescribed duties, and that is called as one's swadharma, one's own occupational engagement. For example, if one is a Brahmana, he is supposed to be engaged in yajana, yajana, patana, patana, dana, parigraha. Yajana means worshipping the Supreme Lord. Yajana means helping others to worship the Supreme Lord. Patana means study of the Vedic scriptures. Patana means helping others to study the Vedic scriptures. Dana means giving in charity. Parigraha means accepting charity. These are called the Shat Karmas of a Brahmana. 6 prescribed duties for a Brahmana, for his occupational engagement, for his maintenance. This is the Swadharma of the Brahmana. For a Kshatriya, the Swadharma is protection of the citizens and ruling the kingdom as per the instructions in the scriptures with the consultation of saintly persons. That is a duty of a Kshatriya. And the duty of a Vaishya is Krishi Gorakshya Vanijyam, Vaishya Karma Samudbhavam. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. A Vaishya is supposed to engage in agriculture, cow protection, trade and commerce. These are his swadharmas. And Shudra is Paricharyatmakam Karmam, Shudra Karma Swabhavajam. Shudra is meant to give service to the other people in the society, the other 3 orders. That is his swadharma. So these are the swadharmas based on the Varna, the 4 social orders. Now there are 4 spiritual orders also in the Varnashrama system. They are called the 4 ashramas: Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyasa. So Brahmachari, he has his own swadharma. He has to stay in the Gurukul of the spiritual master. Brahmachari Gurukule Vasandanto Guror Hitam. And with great sense control, a Brahmachari must render service to the spiritual master for the pleasure of the spiritual master without expecting anything in return. That is a prescribed duty, swadharma, for a Brahmachari. And when a person enters the Grihastha ashrama, his prescribed duty is to help the family members who are dependent on him, not only by providing the material comforts and material requirements, but also helping them to make spiritual advancement. The husband and the wife together have to practice spiritual life, bring up the children in a Krishna conscious way, practice giving in charity, and perform various religious ceremonies regularly. These are all, and observing the samskaras, these are all the prescribed duties for a grihastha. Now for a vanaprastha, the prescribed duties is to develop detachment by performance of austerity, by keeping away from sense enjoyment, taking up a simple life based on God consciousness, giving up attachment to family life. That is vanaprastha. And for a sannyasi, the prescribed duty is to travel everywhere, preach the message of God consciousness, awaken the materialistic householders to reality, to spiritual understanding. That is the prescribed duty of a sannyasi. So, according to the Varnashrama system, every individual, every human being has got a prescribed duty in terms of his position in the Varna and the Ashrama system. Now here Narad Muni is saying, Tyaktva Swadharmam. So whatever prescribed duty as per Varna and Ashrama has been given, ordained in the scriptures for an individual to perform, that is his Swadharma. Now, tyaktva swadharma, giving up one's swadharma. Tyaktva swadharmam charanambujam harehe. Bhajan means to serve. Hare charanambujam means the lotus feet of Lord Hari, Lord Krishna. Bhajan means to render devotional service. So, for the sake of rendering service to the lotus feet of Krishna, it is okay if one gives up his swadharma. Because all this swadharma, the rules and regulations of prescribed duties mentioned in the scriptures, is actually meant to bring a person to the point of surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, if one is already engaged in such devotional service at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one need not have to go through the prescribed duties, provided one is fixed up in the devotional service of the Lord. Now, that's the difference between Mahabharata and Bhagavatam. Mahabharata gives so much emphasis on the swadharma of a particular human being according to his social and spiritual position in the society. But the Bhagavatam says if one becomes convinced about Krishna consciousness, about rendering service to the Lord, it is okay if one does not follow his swadharma. Hmm? So that's the difference between the Bhagavata dharma and the swadharma in terms of material position in one's in the society. So Narad Muni is saying, Tyaktva swadharmam charanambujam harehe bhajan apakvotha. Apakvaha means immature. Atha, for the matter of. Patet, falls down. Tataha, from that place. Yadi, if. Suppose there is a person who has given up his swadharma and who has taken to service of the lotus feet of Lord Hari, but since he is immature, he has not completely attained maturity in spiritual life. Because of that immaturity, if he falls down from his position, if he is not able to attain perfection in Krishna consciousness, then yatra, whereupon, yatra kwa va abhadram, what sort of abhadram, unfavorable things shall happen to him? Abhud amushyakim, nothing. So Narad Muni is saying, even if such a devotee who has forsaken his swadharma for the sake of serving Krishna falls down on account of his immaturity, still there is no loss on his part. There is no loss. There is no loss. There is nothing abhadram for him. There is nothing inauspicious for him. Because he has taken up the process of chanting or the process of devotional service to the Lord. He may not attain perfection. Before attaining perfection, he may fall down. Doesn't matter. Because he has tasted the nectar of Krishna consciousness at least once in his life. That is his greatest achievement in life. Even if he falls down, doesn't matter. It's a very, very strong statement which establishes the power of Krishna consciousness. Even if one falls down in an immature state from Krishna consciousness and having forsaken his material duties, still there is no harm for him, there is nothing inauspicious for him, there is nothing to lament for him. He is well situated. Now, as opposed to such a devotee, suppose there is an individual, the last line of the shloka, Narad Muni is giving a contrast. Kim ko va artha, ko vartha aptaha, kaha. Kaha means, ko vartha means what interest, aptaha means obtained. The word aptaha is very, we must have heard the word samapta. Samapta means what? Generally, the meaning is to come to an end. That is called samapti. But actual meaning is Samyak Aptaha iti Samaptaha. Samyak means very nicely. Aptaha means that to obtain, to get something very nicely. That is called Samaptaha. So if you say, I have completed reading the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. The first chapter is Samaptaha. What is the meaning of that? It's not simply saying that I have finished reading the book. That is one. Finished reading the chapter. That is one meaning. Another meaning is I have nicely understood the subject matter contained in the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. That is the meaning of Samaptaha. Samyak Aptaha. Nicely attained, nicely obtained. So here the word Aptaha is used. Aptaha means to get, to obtain. So Narad Muni is saying, Kovarta Aptaha Abhajatam. Abhajata means one who has not served the lotus feet of the Lord, one who is a non-devotee. Swadharmataha, but he is very diligently following his swadharma, his occupational service, occupational duty. So Narad Muni is saying, a non-devotee who is nicely engaged in his swadharma, taking care of all his material responsibilities very nicely, but who has not taken to the process of serving the lotus feet of the Lord, what is the gain that he has attained? Nothing. Kovapta, nothing. He has not attained anything. Hmm? So this is a very important shloka. That means materially one may be very diligent in following his roles and responsibilities in the family, in the society, in the country. But if he is not a devotee, then he has actually not attained any good success in his life. This is the conclusion of Narad Muni. On the contrary, if someone has given up his material responsibilities and taken up to the process of Krishna consciousness, and because of his immaturity, he falls down from his spiritual realization, still there is no loss for him. Look at this. That means those who say that we should do our material duties very nicely, spiritual life is not important, for them, this is a very nice instruction Narad Muni is giving. So, spiritual responsibility, each soul, each one of us, especially when we have taken birth as a human being, we have got uh, various duties to be performed, and these are called debts. We have got runa. Runa means debt. Uh, a very similar verse Narad Muni speaks in the 10th canto of Bhagavatam also to Vasudeva, the father of Lord Krishna. He says, Devarshi bhutapta nrinam pitridam na kinkaro nayam rinicha rajan sarvatmanaya sharanam sharanyam gato mukundam parihritya kartam. So, Narad Muni says, the moment a person is born as a human being, he has got 6 kinds of debts, 6 kinds of runas, which he has to make sure that he pays back. What are those? Number 1, Deva Runa. We are receiving so many benefits from the administrative demigods. They are supplying us all the necessities. So we have a Runa, we have a debt towards the Devatas. Then Rishi Runa, number 2. We are indebted towards the great sages who have left behind so many scriptures, instructions for us, which are acting like a guiding force. So we are indebted to the sages, the Rishi Runa, that is the second one. Then Bhuta Runa. Bhuta means the living entities. We are receiving so many benefits from so many living entities. Like we are wearing cotton clothes. It is coming from a cotton plant. So we are indebted to the cotton plant. We are indebted to the cow because we are drinking cow's milk. Like this is called Bhutaruna. We are indebted towards so many living entities. Bhuta. Fourth one, Apta. Apta means our near and dear ones, our parents, our relatives. We have received so so much of facilities. Parents have sacrificed so much for us to bring us up. It's not easy. So this is aptaruna. We are indebted towards the parents, towards the relatives, towards so many people whom we have received love, care, and affection from. And Devarshi Bhutapta Nrinam. Nrinam means people in general. People in general. There will be somebody, they may not be related to us, but they may not be our relatives. They may not be our near and dear ones, but some benefit we would have received from some stranger. So that is Nrinam. So people in general, we are also indebted. And to the kings, to the administrators, right? The, the, the administrators, the rulers, the policy makers who are protecting us, who are making arrangements for some kind of a security in the society, we are indebted towards them. And lastly, the sixth one, Devarshi Bhutaptananam Pitrunam. Pitrus means the forefathers. We have received so many benefits from the forefathers. Many of us might have inherited a property from the forefathers. We might have not worked hard to gain that property. Our forefathers have worked hard and secured or saved and some property for us. So we are indebted towards the forefathers. So Bhagavatam says the moment you are born as a human being, you must realize that you are born in debt. You are born in runa. You are supposed to pay back your debt to these six kinds of personalities. Otherwise, you are not a human being. You are not a civilized human being. But then there is a catch. Even if one does not individually try to satisfy the debts towards all the six personalities, but if one takes to the process of Krishna Bhakti, Krishna consciousness, to Lord Mukunda's lotus feet, if one serves, Mukunda is the one who gives liberation, Mukti, Data, Mukunda, then one is immediately freed from all the six debts simply by taking to the service of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. One becomes free from all kinds of runas, all kinds of debts towards the six personalities. So that is the power of devotional service rendered to Krishna. Otherwise, in order to liquefy these six kinds of debts, there are so many prescribed rituals recommended in the Vedic scriptures. For example, one has to perform Shraddha ceremony regularly, once in a year, in remembrance of the departed ancestors. In that way, one can become free from Pitru Runa. One has to perform yajnas to become free from Deva Runa. One has to perform charity in order to become free from the debts towards human beings in general. So like this, there are so many processes prescribed in the Karma Kanda section of the Vedic scriptures, how to become free from all these runas. Before a person dies, he has to make all these runas zero. He has to follow all these Karma Kanda rituals to become free from these six kinds of debts. Otherwise, there is no chance of liberation. But in Kali Yuga, it is not so possible to follow all these Karma Kanda rituals precisely. Not only in Kali Yuga, in other yugas also, even if one mistake is done in the performance of any of these Karma Kanda rituals, the result will be opposite. For example, when somebody is performing a yajna, if there is a mispronunciation in the mantras chanted, one will get an opposite result than that which is desired. There's an example for this in the sixth canto of Bhagavatam. In the sixth canto of Bhagavatam, there was a yajna being performed for the sake of generating a demon who was supposed to be very powerful to kill Indra. But due to a mispronunciation in the Sanskrit mantra, opposite result was produced. A demon who would be killed by Indra was produced from the yajna. So from this we understand how scary and how risky are the activities of karma kanda. Very, very scary. There's another example given in the 10th canto of Bhagavatam. So uh, there was a king called Maharaj Nruga. He was a descendant of the Ikshvaku dynasty in the Surya Vamsha. He was a very charitable king who used to profusely give charity to the Brahmanas. So this king Nruga, once he gave a huge number of cows in charity to a certain Brahmana. So the Brahmana was very happy. It is described that each of these cows, they were very healthy. Each of the cows had given birth to only one calf, and it was in its milking stage. It was producing huge quantity of milk. And Maharaj Nruga had decorated each of these cows very nicely with silk clothes. And he had plated the horns of the cows with gold. He had plated the hooves of the cows with silver. So this kind of hundreds of cows were given in charity by this Maharaj Nruga, the Surya Vamshi Raja, to one Brahmana. And there was another Brahmana, and this king Nruga gave another set of cows in charity to the second Brahmana. Now, while he was doing this charity to the second Brahmana, by chance, without his knowledge, one cow from the first set of cows which he had given to the first Brahmana escaped and joined the second set. Now, this was not known because there were hundreds of cows. It's not possible to keep track of each of the cows. It's not so easy. So, one cow by mistake from the first set of cows, which was already donated to the first Brahmana, joined the second set, which now he gave to another Brahmana. Now, the first Brahmana came and he contested, "O king, what you have done is very sinful. Once you have given me, it is my property, and you have taken away my cow, my property, and given to another person. Now, this is very sinful what you have done." Right? So, now the king wanted to give back the particular cow to the first Brahmana, but the second Brahmana said, "No, no, no, you cannot give it now. It is my cow. It is my property. You cannot give it." So the king said, "Okay, instead of this cow, I will give you hundreds of cows." He told like this to the first Brahmana. The first Brahmana refused. He said, "No, I want that cow only." So the first Brahmana is saying, "I want that cow only." The second Brahmana is saying, I cannot give this cow. I want this cow." So what happened because of this is King Nruga had to actually suffer a very, very severe sinful reaction for this. According to the scriptures, to take away the property of a Brahmana is actually one of the biggest sins, pataka. It's a very, very big sinful activity. So even though Maharaj Nruga during his lifetime had performed so many pious activities, but because of this offense of stealing the property of a Brahmana unintentionally, he actually had to become a lizard in the next life. He became a lizard in the next life. And later, by the touch of Lord Krishna, this Nruga got liberation. But the point that I'm trying to make is the intricacies of Karma Kanda rituals is very, very difficult to follow. And even a slight deviation can create a very big havoc. That is what here it is mentioned by Narad Muni. One may be expert in following his prescribed duties according to the Karma Kanda rituals or according to the Varnashrama system. But if one is not a devotee of the Lord, then there is no gain actually for that person. On the other hand, even if one gives up his material duties and wholeheartedly takes up Krishna consciousness And even if he is not able to attain perfection within this life, there is no harm for such a person. So that is a very important point that we have to understand. That is why Krishna consciousness is called the matchless gift. It is called the matchless gift because no other process can actually match the result that one can derive by performing Krishna bhakti. One may do tapasya, one may do dana, one may do yajna, one may do so many other pious activities. But in comparison to the chanting of the holy names of the Lord, none of these pious activities can even come closer to the benefit that one can derive by chanting the holy names of the Lord. Even if one performs 1000 Ashwamedha yajnas, or if one gives 1 crore cows on the banks of a sacred river like Ganga during the auspicious moment of solar eclipse, whatever benefit punya one accumulates, that is insignificant compared to the benefit that one gets by chanting the holy names of the Lord. These are all the statements mentioned in the scriptures. In fact, the scriptures say it is even wrong to even compare any karma kanda ritual like giving charity or performing yajna or performing tapasya. It is wrong to compare any of such activities with the process of chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. This is one of the 10 offenses to be avoided against chanting the holy names of the Lord. Every day we chant the 10 offenses to be avoided, as mentioned in the Padma Purana. The 8th offense is to consider the process of chanting Hare Krishna to be one of the auspicious religious rituals recommended in the scriptures as karma kanda, fruitive activities. So one should not think that this chanting Hare Krishna mantra is one of the fruitive activities. I'm doing this for the sake of accumulating punya. In that mood, if one chants, it's an offense. It does not please the Lord. It does not help us develop pure love for Krishna. One has to perform the process of chanting as a service to the Lord for His pleasure, for our purification. So, therefore, this is a very, very pivotal point in Krishna consciousness. Just like Krishna declares in the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Mattaha parataram na anyat kinchidasti dhananjaya. O Dhananjaya, winner of wealth, Arjuna, there is no truth superior to me. In the same way, there is no process superior to the process of Krishna consciousness or Krishna bhakti. All other processes, however powerful they may be in bestowing huge amounts of punya, they're all on the material platform. But if one takes up Krishna consciousness, even out of sentiments, if one takes up the process of chanting Hare Krishna, and later on, because of worldly mindedness, he drifts away from the process, still there is no loss for such a person. So Srila Prabhupada explains the difference between material activities and activities performed in Krishna consciousness. What is the difference? If one wants to attain perfection in any material activity, he is said to have attained success or perfection only after he has completed the whole material work 100%. On the other hand, even if one makes only 1% progress in spiritual life, in Krishna consciousness, that 1% progress is also complete success. It is complete success. It is going to be carried forward in his next life. So material duty, one may be expert in taking care of family, in taking care of his material roles and responsibilities in the society, but in the next life, he is not going to carry forward any of those benefits. Once this body is gone, his material designations along with the body is also gone, and his so-called good name and fame, that is also gone. People may remember for a few decades maximum. After that, it will all be forgotten into the oblivion. But that's not the case with Krishna consciousness. You chant one round of Hare Krishna Mahamantra today, you've associated with Krishna for 8 minutes by chanting 108 times the holy names of the Lord. This is going to be eternally credited to your permanent bank account. That's the difference between material activities and spiritual activities. That is why Narad Muni is saying, without being a devotee, one may be expert in performing his material duties, but finally, the result that he's going to accumulate is only one big zero. Of course, that doesn't mean that one should not execute one's material responsibilities. Yes, one should execute. A devotee should execute one's material responsibilities as a seva to Krishna. He should not see that as separate from Krishna consciousness. But more than his material responsibilities, a devotee should be very, very conscious of his service to Krishna, devotional service to Krishna. That is very, very important. The material responsibilities are only circumstantial duties, whereas Krishna Bhakti is our constitutional duty. Constitutional means something which is inseparable, something which is connected to the soul. Circumstances are connected with the body. So therefore, body keeps changing, circumstances keep changing, so material responsibilities also keep changing. But soul is the constant factor. We are the soul. And soul's relationship with Krishna is eternal. Therefore, devotional service that is rendered to Krishna has an eternal effect. So even if one attains only 1% progress in Krishna consciousness in this life, doesn't matter. Next life, he will get an opportunity to continue from the 2% onwards. That is the beauty of Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada says, this Krishna consciousness is like you're depositing in the permanent bank account. Right? All of us want to accumulate wealth in our bank accounts. But there is one permanent bank account which is going to continue with you life after life, and that is the bank account of Krishna Bhakti. So one who is intelligent will keep on accumulating more and more and more deposits in this permanent bank account. Only intelligent people can do that. Only intelligent people can appreciate this. Suppose if there is a bank account and you know that you're going to, whatever you deposit in this bank account, there's no guarantee if it's going to be with you forever. Will you go and deposit in such a bank? You will not have faith. But look at everyone in this material world. They have so much faith. Oh, these material things will protect me. So let me dedicate my life for the family, for the country, so many things. But these are all temporary. So Bhagavatam is trying to make us a little intelligent. Bhagavatam is saying that yes, okay, no matter, you're trying to do your material duties, do that. That's nice. But don't simply depend only on your material duties, circumstantial duties. Pay some attention to Krishna. Krishna is waiting in your heart, life after life. He's waiting when this fellow will turn his face towards me. We all have become Krishna Bahirmukha. We have turned our face away from Krishna, and that is a reason for our suffering, repeated miseries in various life forms in this material world. So we have to heed to the instructions of Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. That's why Krishna is saying, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Braja. So abandon all varieties of religion. Somebody may say, if I become free, if I give up all these religious activities prescribed in the Vedas, don't I get sin, Krishna? Krishna is saying, don't worry. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. I will relieve you from all those sins. Even if you get some sin by abandoning your swadharma, if you surrender to me, I will take care of that. Why are you worrying? Your only duty is to surrender to me. And the best way to surrender to Krishna in this Kali Yuga, as taught by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is to chant the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. While chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we have to surrender our attention to the Lord, to the holy name. So the Lord is present in his holy name and he's ready to give us his association and purify us. So while chanting, no other activity. Simply chant and hear. Chanting is calling the Lord and hearing is surrendering to the Lord. The Lord is ready to give us his shelter. So we have to chant very nicely. So another point that Prabhupada is mentioning here in this purport is the example of Maharaj Bharat. We all know the example. Maharaj Bharat, in his prime of his youth, he gave up his uh, worldly possessions. He was the emperor of the whole world. He gave up his kingly position, his attachment to his family members, which is very difficult to give up. He gave it up so easily. Bhagavatam says, just as one gives up stool, one gives up stool very easily, right? One doesn't become attached to it. Oh, I have to give up stool today. Oh, no. Very easily one gives up. In the same way, Bharat Maharaj gave up his kingly possession, his attachment to his wife, children, which is all very, very difficult. Dustyajya. Dustyajya means very difficult to give up. He gave it up so easily. Why? Because Uttama Shloka Lalasaha. He was so attached to the service of Lord Krishna. So he gave up all his possessions, attachments, and went to the forest to perform tapasya, but he became attached to a deer in the forest. So much so that at the time of death, he remembered the deer instead of remembering Krishna. And because of this, next life he became a deer. So the lesson that we have to learn is uh, we have to be very careful in spiritual life. Unless we have developed solid attachment to Krishna, simply externally giving up things is not going to help. Of course, Maharaj Bharat was a very exalted person. This Leela is performed by the Lord to show that how careful we must be in spiritual life, isn't it? But then, since Bharat Maharaj had performed devotional service, even when he got the body of a deer, he could remember his mistake of his past life. Therefore, even in the body of a deer, he was Krishna conscious. Now, this is the benefit of actually being a devotee of the Lord. This is the benefit. Even if one falls down, the Lord will not leave such a devotee. So, a materialistic person falling down and a devotee falling down, both are not on the same platform. A materialistic person, when he falls down, he is simply uh, at the mercy of the laws of karma. But when a devotee falls down, Krishna personally handholds such a devotee. He has a special protection by the Lord himself. That is why even in the body of a deer, by Krishna's arrangement, the soul was able to remember that I was Bharat in my past life. I did such a mistake. And I've got this body. And in the next life, he got a human form after the deer's body. And in this human form, he was still conscious of his past two lives. This is the Lord's arrangement. And he attained perfection at the end of his third life. Another example Prabhupada gives in the purport is Maharaj Chitraketu. Maharaj Chitraketu was a pure devotee of the Lord. But once he, sarcastically made a comment when he saw Mother Parvati seated on the lap of Lord Shiva, when Lord Shiva was giving a discourse, a spiritual discourse to a group of saintly persons. Maharaj Chitraketu happened to see this and he sarcastically, not with an offensive mentality, but he just made a comment. Oh, look at this. In this public display of affection, public display of affection, Lord Shiva is doing. He's making his dear wife sit on his lap in front of public. He is a great personality. Why should he do such a thing? Chitraketu Maharaj just said like that. Lord Shiva did not take it as an offense at all because Lord Shiva, he knew the position of Maharaj Chitraketu as a pure devotee. But Devi Parvati became very angry. And he said, "Oh, you are an upstart. Because you are a devotee of Krishna, you think that you can command even my husband, Lord Shiva? How can you even speak like this?" She became very angry, and immediately she cursed Maharaj Chitraketu to be born as a demon. And Maharaj Chitraketu was not at all angry. He was not feeling sorry after hearing this curse. He did not request Lord Shiva or Mother Parvati to take back the curse. He simply thought, this is very nice arrangement made by the Lord for me so that I become detached from the material world. Look at how Maharaj Chitraketu perceived the whole thing. And because of this, in the next life, he was born as a demon called Vritrasura. And even in the body of a demon, Vritrasura, by the Lord's arrangement, he was conscious of his past life and he was constantly thinking about the Lord. He continued his devotional service. Another example is in the 8th canto of Bhagavatam, you will find the famous Gajendra Moksha pastime. Gajendra, in his past life, was Maharaj Indradyumna. And Indradyumna Maharaj, he was a great devotee of the Lord. And he was cursed by Agastya Rishi because Indradyumna Maharaj was sitting in deep meditation. He was thinking about the pastimes of the Lord. He was fully lost. His external senses he had lost. He was in trance. So when this Agastya Muni came, it was expected that Maharaj Indradyumna should stand up and receive with great respect and worship the sage. But he didn't do that because he was fully absorbed in Krishna's thoughts. So the sage got angry and he cursed. Even though you have got a human form, you have become dull like an animal. So I curse you that you become an elephant, a dullard. This is my curse. Now Indradyumna Maharaj did not protest. He did not try to justify that he was right. Why are you cursing me unnecessarily? Many times when we come across difficulties in life, we always ask this question, why me? There are so many billions of people in this world. Only problem has come to me only. Why me? But a pure devotee will never ask like this. You never ask. Pure devotee takes it as a plan of the Lord. He says, okay, if nothing can happen in my life without the Lord's sanctioning it. If this curse has come upon me, that means Lord has sanctioned it. So his will, that means he must be having some superior plan, isn't it? Look at the mood of Indradyumna Maharaj. Therefore, in the next life, when he became this elephant Gajendra, when crocodile came and caught hold of his leg, at that moment of desperation, he tried his best to protect himself, but he couldn't protect. Finally, the Lord inspired him from within the heart to remember the prayers that he had learned from his spiritual master in his past life as Maharaj Indradyumna. In his past life, he had learned some prayers to the Lord. And at that helpless situation, the Lord inspired him to chant those prayers. An elephant will never be able to chant, no? Have you ever heard elephant chanting some prayers? Have you ever heard about such a thing? No. But look at this extraordinary situation. It was possible because Indradyumna Maharaj was a devotee. In his past life, this Gajendra was a devotee. Therefore, the Lord immediately came. Bhagavatam describes 8th canto. Asahya Vegaha. The Lord came in such a fast speed he came. Quickly he came. Garuda was also confused. Garuda always knows the mind of the Lord. According to the mind of the Lord, Garuda either travels fast or slow. But this time, the Lord's desire to reach out to Gajendra for his rescue was so intense that even Garuda could not match the speed with which the Lord wanted to go and reach that place, Trikuta Parvata, in that lake, to protect Gajendra. So this is another example. The Lord never forgets. That means the Lord is ever grateful to even a small amount of devotional service that one might have performed. Hmm? The Lord is very, very merciful, very, very grateful. Swalpamapi yasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhaya. Krishna says this. Swalpa. Alpa means less. Swalpa means su plus alpa. Swalpa. Su means very, very, very less. Even a slight amount of bhakti you perform, I will save you from the greatest dangers in life. This is what Krishna is telling in the Bhagavad Gita. And Prabhupada is giving one more example, Ajamila's example, in the sixth canto of Bhagavatam. We all know Ajamila was a Brahmana by birth. He was well situated spiritually in the early part of his life, received very good samskaras from his parents. He was engaged in worshipping Lord Krishna. Very nicely, he was conducting his religious activities, his material duties, everything very nicely he was doing. But then, when he went to the forest, he saw a scene which agitated his mind. He saw a man and a woman embracing, enjoying in the forest. So the young Ajamila got agitated with lusty desires and he started associating with that woman. So he gave up his chaste wife, his children, his age old parents, everybody he gave up. And he gave up Krishna consciousness also. He gave up under the influence of lust, kama. Kama aturanam na bhayam na lajja. A person who is under the influence of kama, you know, he gives up all kinds of uh, bhaya. He doesn't fear anybody's opinion. And he also gives up shyness. What will the society think about me? All these conceptions, he will not be able to think only. That's the influence of kama. That's why Krishna says in the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, kama is the greatest enemy for the soul. By all means, one should conquer this kama. So, with this woman, the new woman that he started living with because of lust, he had many children. And the youngest child, the Lord again inspired Ajamila to name that youngest child as Narayana. Look at this, the reciprocation of the Lord. Huh? Ajamila actually fell down from his position of devotional service. He gave up, he forgot Krishna totally, he was so much absorbed in enjoying with that prostitute. But Krishna inspired. Okay, you have so many sons. One son you name after me. So that in the guise of calling your son, at least you will remember me. You will chant me, my name. How merciful Krishna is. See, once you take up Krishna consciousness, even if you forget Krishna, Krishna will not forget you. There is another example for that. And as we know, Ajamila became old. He was on his deathbed. And Yamadutas came because this Ajamila had performed so many sinful activities to satisfy the desire of that prostitute. He was looting people, killing people, all such things he was doing. Because of this, Yamadutas came at the last moment of his life to take the soul and subject the soul to sinful reactions, punishments in the kingdom of Yamaraja. But in that helpless state, when he saw those ferocious Yamadutas in a helpless state of mind, he called out for his son, his favorite son. Narayana, he called out. But this son did not come. That Lord Narayana in the Vaikuntha, he heard this cry of Ajamila, desperate cry. Immediately he deputed his Vishnu Dutas. Vishnu Dutas came, effulgent personalities. They came, stopped the Yamadutas. This has never been in the track record of Yamadutas. They were all surprised. In our track record, in our history, in our service so many years, nobody has come and stopped us like this from taking away a sinful person. Who are these effulgent persons who are stopping us? Then there was a conversation between the Vishnu Dutas and Yamadutas. And finally, Vishnu Dutas sent away the Yamadutas. They said, This Ajamila might have performed so many sinful activities, but he has desperately called out the name of the Supreme Lord in an utter state of helplessness. And because of this act, he has actually atoned for all the sinful reactions that he has committed, sinful activities that he has committed so far. That's the power of chanting the holy name. He said like this, and the Yamadutas were driven away. And just by hearing this conversation, it was a near death experience for Ajamila. Just by hearing this conversation between Yamadutas and Vishnudutas, Ajamila learnt his lesson and he got a second chance and he perfected his life. He decided to dedicate the rest of his life in serving the Lord. And at the end of his life, the same Vishnudutas came and took him back to Godhead. So, in this way, you see, the Bhagavatam is full of such examples where even if a devotee falls down from his position, forgets the Lord, becomes fully absorbed in material things, the Lord will not forget that devotee. That is why it is said, the Lord gives, and He forgives. And we get, and we forget. That is our position. So by hearing all these pastimes, we should actually understand how the Lord is so merciful. We say this prayer, Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate. What is the actual meaning of this prayer? We will be able to realize from all these case studies. Gajendra, Ajamila, Chitraketu Maharaj, and Bharat Maharaj. Look at the mercy of the Lord. So, with what seriousness we must practice Krishna consciousness? By hearing all these stories, all these pastimes, the intention is we should not come to a conclusion that, oh, the lesson from these pastimes is, okay, even if I fall down, it's okay. Therefore, let me not take up so seriously Krishna consciousness. Anyway, now I've been chanting from many years. I've been practicing Krishna consciousness. It's okay if I fall down also, Krishna will take care. No, that is not the mood. That should not be the learning. That's not the right application of this principle. Then you are actually not trying to serve Krishna. You are trying to use Krishna. We should not try to use Krishna, or we should not try to use the holy name. Oh, anyway, chanting of the holy name is so powerful. It can counter millions of lifetimes of sinful reactions. Therefore, let me go on chanting and let me go on also committing sinful activities. No, that's not the mood. That should not be the mood of a devotee. Devotee should understand, Lord is so merciful. That is a lesson from all these pastimes. Lord is so merciful. Even if I forget, the Lord will not forget me. So how can I give up service to such a merciful Lord and take to some material sense gratification? How can I do this? I can never do this. The Lord is so merciful. I should never give up serving the Lord. I should never give up chanting the holy names, because my Master, the Lord, is so merciful. This is the right learning. This is the right understanding from all these pastimes. Therefore, Narad Muni is saying this verse, Tyaktva swadharmam charanambujam harehe bhajanna pakvota pate tato yadi. So even if one falls down, the Lord is so merciful. Even if one gives up all material responsibilities and takes up Krishna consciousness seriously, there is no loss on his part. On the contrary, a non-devotee, however diligently he may execute his material responsibilities, because he has not taken up the service of the lotus feet of Krishna, his life is actually a failure. It is unsuccessful. So that is the meaning. So if we want to make our life successful, we must take up Krishna consciousness with great seriousness. That is the meaning. So we will discuss the next verse tomorrow. Please do join us tomorrow also at 8 o'clock, 8 to 9. These are all very, very important shlokas in this chapter. As I was telling, these are the fundamentals of Bhagavata philosophy. if we can understand and appreciate even a little bit what Narad Muni is saying in this chapter to Vyasadeva, then our practice of Krishna consciousness, seriousness will go to the next level. Very, very important. Now we will take up some questions. If any one of you have any questions or comments, please unmute yourself and ask.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Pranab. Yes.
So, my question is that yesterday's one.
Mm.
It's
What is
pertaining
that?
to Vyasadeva.
Yeah.
If Vyasadeva is expert,
Mm.
yeah, he was. And also, he was the, what we call it, Vichakshanaha, he said. And
Vichakshana.
Vichakshana, and incarnation of the Lord. Now, my
Yeah.
question is, I should not say why he could not. I should say, why did he compile the other Vedas instead of directly writing the Srimad Bhagavatam?
Yeah.
So
Actually, this.
that is,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah. Please complete. Go on.
That is it.
Okay. So I have answered this question already in one of the previous sessions. Yes, Narad Muni is saying actually that you should not have compiled any other Vedic scriptures and encourage people to come, engage in fruitive activities, karma kanda rituals, because already people in this material world are too much interested in sense gratification. And through your Mahabharata and karma kanda, you have promoted or you have encouraged people's fruitive mentality. You should not have done this. Yes, that's correct. What Narad Muni is saying is correct. But what the purpose of all these different scriptures is that not everybody is in a position to directly take up the process of Krishna consciousness because people have varieties of material desires. And Krishna's program is to always accommodate everybody because Krishna loves everybody. Krishna loves everybody, he accepts everybody as we are. Therefore, he has to make arrangements for everybody to accommodate everybody. No one should be left out. That's the idea. So, if someone's if directly only the direct process of surrendering to Krishna is the only process available, not everybody will take it up. Because even when Krishna was present personally 5,000 years ago on this planet, not everybody could appreciate and surrender to Krishna. Not everybody could appreciate that he is the supreme personality of Godhead. So the idea is why there are Sattvic Puranas, Rajasic Puranas, Tamasic Puranas, Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, Upasana Kanda. Why so many volumes of Vedic scriptures? It's because to accommodate all categories of people at all levels of consciousness, accommodate them. Okay, somebody wants material desires. Okay, you worship this devata, perform this vrata, take up that yajna, and have your material desires satisfied. So Krishna is so merciful. He wants to accommodate everybody. That is why Vyasadeva compiled such different categories of scriptures. Hope that answers your question.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah.
And one more, that that
Mm.
mm, Indradyumna.
Yeah.
So Indradyumna got cursed from the August. So he
Agastya
was
Rishi.
so
Yeah.
exalted devotee, the Vishnu who gave. He even smiled from the Kojal ocean.
Mm.
How? So is this curse happen after the construction of this temple? What we can see here in Puri
No, no,
Jagannath
no.
Dham.
No, no. That Indradyumna Maharaj is different from this.
Oh, I was stuck in this. I was thinking
Yeah.
he's the one.
Yeah. No. The Indradyumna Maharaj, whom we hear about in the Puri Kshetra Mahatmya, the Maharaj
Okay.
who installed the deities of Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra Mai in Jagannath Puri, that Indradyumna Maharaj is different from This Indradyumna Maharaj who was cursed by the sage and who became Gajendra and who was delivered by the Lord. Both are two different personalities. Name is same, but they are two
Thank you,
different
thank you.
persons.
Great, great.
Okay,
I
good. So we have one more. Yes,
and is
you're
it
done.
one last? Is it
Okay,
Vyasa Tirtham or Vayesa Tirtham?
Vayasam Tirtham.
Okay, why? Okay,
Vayasam.
okay.
Vayasa means crow. Crow.
I know.
Crow.
Yes.
Vayasam. Okay,
Thank you,
we
thank
have
you.
one question here posted by Praveen. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Hare Krishna Praveen. Even if cow charity was done by the king to Brahmana without his mistake, he was subject to curse. It is because this charity was not done in Krishna consciousness. How do we understand it? Now, how do we understand this? As I told, the Karma Kanda rituals, the process is very complex, very complicated. One has to be very, very careful while performing any Karma Kanda ritual. For example, it is said nowadays, a lot of people, it has become a business. Now, for example, Shraddha ceremony. According to the scriptures, Shraddha ceremony has to be performed by a Vaishnava. Only then will the benefit reach the forefather for whom the Shraddha is performed. If one is not a Vaishnava, one may do the same ritual, same process as an external ritual, but one will not get the benefit. There's no use because the main item in Shraddha ceremony is offering of the Vishnu Prasada to the ancestors. Vishnu Prasada is very, very powerful and purifying. When the ancestors are offered Vishnu Prasada, they get liberation. If they are stuck in some sinful body, or if they are not getting a gross material body because of their sinful activities, if they're in ghostly life and all of that. But if the Brahmana who is actually performing the Shraddha ceremony, who is helping the Karta, the son of the deceased person, in performing the Shraddha ceremony, if that Brahmana himself is not a devotee of Lord Vishnu, that means he has no faith in Lord Vishnu, he has no faith in Vishnu Prasada. And if the Karta, the person who is actually doing the Shraddha for his father or mother or whoever, if he is not a devotee of Lord Vishnu, so he will not have any faith. So if he is not having faith, Lord Vishnu will not accept the bhoga offered. Because Krishna very clearly mentions in the ninth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, if you offer with love and devotion, I will accept even fruit, water, leaf also I will accept. So if you are not having love and devotion, if you offer mechanically, Lord Vishnu will not accept. He is not obliged to accept. That means if their devotee is not involved in performing the Shraddha, Lord Vishnu will not accept that bhoga. It will not become prasadam. And therefore, the departed ancestors for whom the Shraddha is being performed will not get Vishnu prasada. So they will not get the benefit of performing the Shraddha. That means the rituals that are recommended in the Karma Kanda section of the Vedic scriptures, they have to be followed properly in the right way with all conditions satisfied. Only then the result can be reaped by the beneficiary. Otherwise, it's going to be externally simply one show. So, why I told this is because in the question that Praveen has asked, the king Nriga did not know, it was not his mistake, but still he was cursed to become a lizard. Yeah, that is the way of karma kanda rituals. Very, uh, very difficult, very intricate, complex. Even if one condition is not fulfilled, the whole thing will become a useless thing. It will boomerang. So, hope that answers your question. Okay, another question by Ratnadeep Ray. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Ratnadeep. Yesterday you said we should give more focus on the spirit than the words. But how can we find what is the spirit when we should look beyond words? Now, yesterday, if I remember correctly, what I told, it is if you want to receive the instructions of the Vedic scriptures in both letter and spirit, then you have to approach a bona fide spiritual master who is coming in the parampara system. The spiritual master knows, the parampara acharya knows what is the spirit behind the instructions. So, holding on to the lotus feet of the spiritual master is the only way to understand the spirit behind the instructions in the Vedic scriptures. So, holding on to the lotus feet of spiritual master means understanding the Vedic scriptures through the instructions given by the spiritual master, not independently trying to interpret or speculate. So, that is the meaning. So, we don't have to decide, we are not qualified to know or decide for ourselves what is the spirit behind this instruction. When Krishna says this, what is the spirit behind it? We are not qualified to speculate and understand like that. So we simply have to understand what Prabhupada has said. So Prabhupada says, whatever he says, that is the spirit behind Krishna's instructions. That is the meaning of accepting Acharya. Acharyavan Purusho Veda. Only when one is guided by a bona fide Acharya, one understands the real import of all the Vedic scriptures. So, uh, yes, spirit is more important than letter, but that spirit has to be understood through the explanation given by the Parampara Acharya. We cannot speculate ourselves. And behind every ritual, spirit is there that has to be followed. We have to do the activity in spirit, not just as a ritual. Spirit plus ritual equal to spiritual. So, spiritual, when we say I'm leading a spiritual life, we can only do rituals and think that I'm leading a spiritual life, but we may be missing the spirit. How to know the spirit? For that, we need Bhakti Vedanta purports. That's why Prabhupada gave so much emphasis on books. Books are the basis, Prabhupada said. Because everything that we are doing in our Krishna consciousness process, there is so much philosophy behind it. There is so much of understanding that needs to be cultivated. And for that, we need to read. Just like chanting, for example. Somebody may be ritually chanting. Why you are chanting? Yeah, I'm just chanting because it is good. Because I feel good, therefore I'm chanting. Or it's a ritual. No, but Prabhupada is saying, when you are chanting, what should be your mood? What should be your consciousness? That is also important. Hmm? That is also very important. If you do ritually, you will only get punya. It will become a karma kanda activity. You will get only material punya. But if you do with right consciousness, that is why Prabhupada has named our movement as International Society for Krishna Consciousness. That is a spirit. It is not International Society for Krishna Rituals or Krishna Worship. No, behind the worship, what is more important, what Krishna really relishes is our consciousness, our mood of surrender. That is more important. So if we want to develop that Krishna consciousness, then we need the spiritual knowledge and realizations from the pure devotee spiritual master. Then we can develop Krishna consciousness. So hope that answers your question, Ratnadeep. Is there any other question or any other point anyone wants to make? Today is a very special day, disappearance day of Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Prabhupada said, is the pioneer in the modern Krishna conscious, worldwide Krishna consciousness movement. The very first personality who actually conceived of a worldwide Krishna consciousness movement in the modern day world, as per the desire of Rupa Goswami, as per the desire of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we should pray to Bhaktivinoda Thakur that please help me in becoming dedicated to Krishna's service in Krishna consciousness. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he showed by his personal example that how he was expert in taking care of his worldly duties, plus he also engaged in unparalleled service to the Lord. So he is called the seventh Goswami because his activities just like the six Goswamis of Vrindavan. Even though he was a Grihastha devotee, he was an ideal Grihastha. He prayed to the Lord that I please give me a son who can preach the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu all over the world. I cannot do it. I am not competent. You please give me an empowered son. And answering these prayers, the Lord blessed him with a son, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Simha Guru, who roared like a lion, preached Krishna consciousness fearlessly. And he inspired Abhay Charanaravinda Swami, Abhay Charanaраvinda, Abhay Charan, Srila Prabhupada, to take this Krishna consciousness all over the world. So Prabhupada went to the world, all over the world, to preach Krishna consciousness by the inspiration of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. But Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur himself appeared in this world because of the prayers and strong desire of Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Therefore, we should be very, uh, very indebted to Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Pray to him nicely and desire the preaching spirit. Many times we may think, oh, I am in a material situation, I am a family man, how can I preach? No, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he practiced, he showed it. Doesn't matter what is your situation, you can preach, you can practice, and preach nicely. Today is also the disappearance day of Srila Gadadhara Pandita, one of the five personalities in Panchatattva. Every day we chant the Panchatattva mantra, we remember Gadadhara Pandita. So Gadadhara Pandita is the incarnation of Srimati Radharani, and from childhood is very attached to Mahaprabhu. Both of them were born in Mayapur only. Few years younger Gadadhara Pandit was to Mahaprabhu. They were Mahaprabhu's life and soul was Gadadhara, it is said. And when Mahaprabhu took sannyas and went to Jagannath Puri, Gadadhara Pandit also moved, shifted himself to Jagannath Puri because he was so attached to Mahaprabhu. And there he took up the Kshetra Sannyasa. He said that I will not go anywhere away from Jagannath Puri because Mahaprabhu is here. See, this is the attachment that a devotee has for the Lord. And he took up the service of Tota Gopinath deities in Jagannath Puri. And till his last breath, he was serving the deities. And in fact, when he became old, with great difficulty, he was trying to garland the deity. He was not able to stand erect because of his old age. His hands and legs were shaking. So the deity himself knelt down. Krishna himself knelt down. He sat down to accept the garlands, the service of Gadadhara Pandita. Just imagine the position of Gadadhar Pandit. Deity himself sat down. All over the world, you'll only see Krishna deity standing position, Tribhanga position. Tota Gopinath is the only deity of Krishna where Krishna is in the sitting position. So, and Gadadhara Pandita was expert reciter of Bhagavatam. He used to, each shloka of Bhagavatam, he was able to chant in multiple tunes, in 5 to 6 tunes, he was able to chant. And not only he was able to chant, but he was also able to very expertly explain the meaning of these shlokas. Mahaprabhu himself would go to Tota Gopinath temple just to hear the Bhagavatam discourse of Gadadhara Pandita. That was the position. That was how he was expert in Bhagavatam. So we should pray to Gadadhara Pandita to give us attachment to Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam, it is mentioned, Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam. Bhagavatam is actually, a Vaishnava is one who has made Bhagavatam as his life and soul. So we should pray to Gadadhara Pandita. Please bless me with attachment to hear Bhagavatam. So these are great personalities. So such days of appearance and disappearance of the acharyas is a nice opportunity for us to meditate on their wonderful qualities and try to follow in their footsteps. So we'll close today. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai, Srila Gadadhara Pandit ki jai, Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.